He's being so ornery. Not letting me get any work done.
Have you been pestering Mom?
Yes. So we are headed to see Maddie from Affiliate PT. So this year I'm really excited, and I'll tell you guys more about it on the drive there, but we are gonna put together a really good, hopefully bulletproof plan that I can have on as a warm up and cool down and just accessory movements on upper and lower body days, and that way I just have a go-to plan. And we're gonna go through all of these different screens to see where I fail. So we'll talk more about that on the way in the car. It's April 1st and it's snowing. It should not be snowing, it's freezing. And I don't have heated seats, which is a total bummer. But, you know, first world problems.
How come you're taking this plan of attack this year?
So, this would be my 6th year if I qualifying for the CrossFit Games. I did qualify 1 year and I chose not to go. So I have learned that being healthy is probably the most important piece. Like, I can put all the fitness in now, but if I get there and I'm bubblegum taped together like with toothpicks and I'm just like held together by nothing, held together by a thread, it doesn't matter. So I just know that I need to stop being stubborn, and I compensate, and I'm a master compensator, so I'm really good at, my body's good at adjusting and using different muscle groups, but you can only do that so long before other things start to break down, because they shouldn't be doing the work for the muscles that aren't turned on or active or activated. So I've always put an emphasis on trying to move well and move cleanly, because one, I'm in this for long-term health and fitness as much as I am competition, and I don't just want to destroy my body. So, oops, I wasn't in gear. So we're working with this PT who I trust, and I just think she's the best. I think she's literally a miracle worker. She's been one of the only people to help me really figure out some of these compensations and imbalances that I have. And so coming together and just having her on my team and having her on my side, I think is just gonna set us up for hopefully more success with the season. So we can periodize the season, and then when we get there, fingers crossed, we can qualify, or even if it's for the semifinal, we can get there healthy. And that will allow me to at least put my best foot forward and not be working around injuries. Pat, you wanna chime in?
To kind of second that, I mean, it doesn't matter how fit you are. If you're hurt, it's not going to matter. So the goal is always just to be ready for competition, healthy, and feeling like that you can give it your all. So we're trying to be as preventative as we can. She's really good about warm-up type stuff anyway and taking care of her body, but working with somebody who can maybe kind of help monitor that to where we can really avoid at all costs any sort of little minor setbacks or nagging injuries that we know can kind of pop up, just so that she is fit and healthy as can be when competition comes around.
I think a takeaway for all of you guys is, like, do the extra work, spend the extra 15 minutes stretching. If you know that you're compensating and you have exercises, do the exercises. You don't need to live in pain also. So if you're working out and you're living in pain, like, that's not normal. You shouldn't have to live in pain, and that's something Maddie will talk about, and that's, I love her in that sense. Is like, she helps you get better, and she realizes, like, you don't have to be in pain all of the time, that we can fix things. And so she works with tons of CrossFitters. She's a CrossFitter herself, and that also makes me love working with her tremendously. Better this morning than it was this week.
Good. Does that bother it to do that, like that rounding position?
No.
No? Okay. If you go up and go into extension, is it just kind of talking to you like when you're just around during the day, or is it actually when you're pulling?
It's like after I'm done pulling.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Yep. So not, I can deadlift fine, but then I get done and I'm like,
that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's do this. We're gonna just kind of go through a big movement screen to start. So that'll tell us a little bit. Do you have shorts on? Do you mind going down to shorts and a tank?
Yeah.
Basic, like, movement screens in general. Okay. So what I'm gonna have you do first is bend down and touch your toes for me. So, yep, feet together, keep your knees straight as you go. Good. And we're just looking for, like, how much round through here symmetrically. What does that feel like in your hamstrings? Any discomfort with that, Christy?
There's no discomfort. My hamstrings are tight.
Okay, yeah. But you're getting your hands to the floor, which is beyond normal, so that's great.
Okay.
And then come back up. Good. I also want to try you come back up. Are you able to kind of roll back up segmentally and come back down? No catches there.
Okay.
That felt okay?
Yep.
Good. Now you're going to go hands overhead. Good. Same thing again. Keep your knees locked out straight. Can you lean backward as far as you can? Kind of back bend. Very good. Awesome. And then come back up. Any discomfort in the low back to do that? Okay, good. What I look for there is how much of that happens in your back and how much is able to translate with your hips. So this is all about how well we balance our body. Like, can your head go one way or can your hips go the other way? Because that's ideally what we want to have happen. And if that's not happening, we know somewhere in here is struggling. Then with your arms, actually I'm gonna have you face the black wall there. With your arms out to the side like a letter T. Good. Can you rotate to your right as far as you can? So kind of bring it all the way around. You can twist your hips as far as you can. Good. Normal is if I can see the shoulder come around the other side, so that looks good. And you can go back to normal. Any discomfort with that?
Just tight oblique or
flat. Yeah. You don't twist that deep very much. And then going to your left the same way. This one's harder. And we cannot, I can't really see that come around, so a little bit tighter there. And so that makes me question what's going on here, maybe what this hip has going on, and a little bit of what you were telling me with your right there. Okay, good. You can go ahead. Can I have you turn around and face me? Good. Now I'm just going to have you stand on one foot. You just have to balance for 10 seconds. You watch to see how much the foot works, what the ankle does, what your hips do, what your core does, are your shoulders all over the place. Awesome. Let's switch to the other side. We also look how easily this leg comes up. I'm holding for 10. That one might work just a little harder. Awesome. And come back down. So now we're gonna go dynamic single leg. So standing on one foot, we'll go back over to your left foot. Can you show me, and it's kind of like you would run, swinging this leg back and forth. It doesn't have to be high, but just quickly for 10 repetitions without falling over. Different, and a little bit of this one I look for is on your stance leg. What happens in the kinetic chain on the way down? Where do our knees go? What do our feet do? And this one will internally rotate a little bit, but this one was internally rotating, struggling to balance. Just kind of gives us an idea where the stability is and what it has trouble with. Obviously, faster movements, more dynamic movements, the harder it is. And then we're going to look at your overhead squat. So just hands overhead. Yep.
Do you want me to turn to you?
Yep. I'm gonna watch you from the front. I'm gonna watch you from the side. And I'll watch you from the back. So just the prettiest overhead squat that you've ever done. So just like two little things that I see is that you kind of immediately shift over to your left side. Just slightly. So that just tells me that your body is either like mobility wise not wanting to go into that hip and knee, or it's just like not feeling confident in that. The other thing is with your squat from the side, you have to like kind of really set your butt back. That tilts your chest forward, which I would ideally like that to set a little bit more like straight down. And that again cues me into this hip. Like, why isn't this hip able to sit straight down? Or we're gonna look at your ankles too and see what happens there. So there's a lot of things that we can do to take this out of there. So I'm gonna have you do another squat, and I'm gonna have my hands up here, and I want you to just hold my hands while you do it. So I'm gonna support your upper body and do the same thing. Can you drag your knees out a little bit? Good. If I let go, do you feel like you would fall backward? Okay, good. So that still, like, there's a lot of trouble with that. Like, sometimes if I just hold somebody's upper extremity and they can do it, it's like, oh, I get it, I can fall straight down into it. So that tells me that the problem might not be from here up. I'm gonna have you on the floor. Have you ever done rolling patterns? Okay, so this is kind of what we look at in big picture, your flexors in the front and your extensors in the back, and how well they pattern together. So, and this kind of tells me how everything works. Okay. Your back. And I want you to put your hands up like this, using just your right leg. You're gonna come up and over. And can you initiate a roll to your belly with just your leg?
Ooh. Is this fun stuff?
Primal movement. Good? So arms up. Good? And then lift that. And you're gonna like use your belly and pull that knee over. Like your upper body is just along for the ride.
Let me go over this real quick.
What you do is kind of reach up this way. And you're gonna like turn and look, put your nose in that armpit. If your legs were completely dead. Dead. Yeah. Can you keep rolling? Keep rolling. Get over to the other side. Good. Her hip flexion want to fire a little bit. That's good. Good. Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Good job. That's not so bad.
Yeah.
Usually our hips are pretty strong. You have good extension, good lift up. Make sure you're not pushing off that hand.
Yeah.
So we had a little monitor underneath here. There you go. Yeah, good, good. Okay, here comes the really fun ones. We gotta be able to do that now, initiating with your arms.
Okay.
So here, and again, my feet are like dead, dead, dead. You have to be able to bring this arm, looking at your hand, up, up, up. And like I will tend to want to push with my knee right here. So I have to keep reaching, 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 shoulder blade back, shoulder blade back. Can I get myself all the way up that way?
No knees.
No knees.
It's just
You're
like,
get to a point where like this might not happen.
yeah.
Good. Yep. Go and reach up with that arm, reach up, pull back with your shoulder blade. There you go, there you go. Good job, good job. A lot of people can't get over that way at all.
Okay.
So that's good that you have enough extension in your thoracic spine, strength to get back up and over.
Okay.
And then you're a little like woggy when you roll,
Yeah.
but it's not, like I said, we train our bodies to be pretty stiff and rigid to tolerate the loads that we do, so that's not my main concern with you. But the fact that you have the extensor strength and flexor strength to have those movements and can coordinate them together just kind of gives us an overall view that things are okay in that area. So pass or pass. Good job. So we can say for you, we know that you have functionally that lat mobility, that you need to be overhead even in that squat position. So it might be more of a stability issue, not a mobility issue. Because actively, you can't demonstrate it very well, but passively you have it. So check, we don't have to work on two things, we just have to work on one.
Okay.
The next thing I want to see here is just, we talked about your elbows a little bit ago, just how much flexion we have. So for front rack positions, we want to make sure that this part of your hand can touch the front of her shoulder. And the elbow weight will be there a little bit. And that is definitely stiff for her to get there. So there's two joints that we're taking up at this point. We already checked the lats, they're checking out to be pretty good. The elbow and then wrist extension, and we'll check wrist extension in a few seconds too, but we would like that to be back on her shoulder a little bit more evenly. So what we look for here is that we can get easily a 90-degree angle between her arm bone and her pinky bone right here. And hers is probably just 90 on that side. Doesn't absolutely love to be in that extended position, I don't think. She usually, about 45 would be right here. She gets to that 50, good, go ahead and come back down. Switch arms, both positions, good. And then going up to the break. Good. Still hitting that 50 mark, good, and then coming back down. I think that the left side seemed like it was a little stiffer, like it just took a second to get there. You can get there, but it wasn't as easy as the other side. Yeah, awesome. Ooh. Just a little tender.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna start here. There it is. I don't know if you can see that, but her little muscles jumping around in there, telling us a little active trigger point. Good, we're gonna go the level below that.
So we just got done, and first things first, I am so cold because it was freezing in the gym and I'm really hungry. But let's talk about the PT. It was kind of what I expected, but it's interesting because it's actually the opposite side that's the problem. So certain things I am stronger, but I'm less stable, which is really interesting. And then I don't have a hard time getting into some positions passively, but actively without weight, I can't get into them. So like an overhead squat, I actually look like I move really well with a barbell over my head in an overhead squat position, but actively with no weight, I can hardly even get into it. And these are things I've kind of known about myself that I just kind of turn my head and I don't want to acknowledge, but she's forcing me to acknowledge them. And I really like what we kind of decided was we were starting top up. So there's a couple major problems with my ankles and my calcaneus and kind of how I'm shifting to get into the right positions, which means that one side doesn't have the mobility, so I'm not actually able to get into a full squat on that side, and I'm actually shifting into one side, so that side's overworking and the other side is less stable. So we're gonna try to clean all of that up and see if that can help my overhead position, see if that can help my snatch, because those are areas where I tend to struggle and we think it's just coming from the bottom up, and that's how we're going to attack it.